Cast iron. Factors controlling structure and appearance of cast iron. So, what is cast iron? So, basically, cast iron is a group of iron carbon alloys with a carbon content more than 2%. Its usefulness derives from its relatively low melting temperature. Next, the factors controlling the structure of cast iron. Now, the pearlitic influence factor Px and anti-nodularizing action factor K1 were found to have an important influence on ultimate and tensile yield strength and ductility, as did manganese and phosphorus content, the metallurgical quality of the melt, radiation, and inoculation power. The factors next is the factors controlling appearance of cast iron. So to obtain NASCAR's ferritic structure less than 0.03% phosphorus, 0.2% manganese, and 2% phosphorus is required. At the same time, low levels of manganese and phosphorus, increasing residual content, leads to the appearance of pearlite in the ASCA structure, but a ferrite structure is obtained after a short annealing treatment.
Myself Roshan Biju, and now we can see the classifications of cast iron. Cast irons are mainly divided into six, and the first one is grey cast iron. Grey cast iron contains carbon between 2.5 to 3.5 percentage and silicon in the range 1 to 2.8 percentage. And some other alloying elements like manganese, sulfur, phosphorus are also present in grey cast iron. Carbon in grey cast iron exists in the free form as graphite flakes embedded in the matrix of alpha ferrite or perlite. Moderate cooling from the austenitic range leads to a perlite matrix, while slow cooling results in a ferrite matrix. Actually, it appears in grey color and hence it got its name as grey cast iron. It is actually due to the presence of graphite flakes. Now we can see the properties of grey cast iron. Actually, grey cast iron is having low strength and brittle in tension, but strength and ductility are much higher during compressive loads. And it is having low melting point, good fluidity, good machinability. It means that it can be machined easily, and good wear resistance and high vibrational damage. Going on to the applications of grey cast iron, it is used for the manufacture of cylindrical blocks, cylinder heads, underground pipes, centrifugal pump parts, electrical motor frames, sanitary wares, gearboxes, etc. Now we can see the ductile cast iron, which is the second classification of cast irons. When magnesium or cerium is added in small quantity to the grey cast iron in the molten condition leads to a different microstructure on solidification. The carbon exists as graphite but in the form of nodules of spheroids instead of flakes. This variant of cast iron is called ductile or nodular cast iron. Depending on the cooling rate, the surrounding matrix phase is either perlite or ferrite. A typical composition would have 3 to 4.3% carbon, 1 to 3.5% silicon, and 0.3 to 0.8% manganese, and some amount of sulfur and phosphorus. Now the properties of ductile cast iron. The ductile cast iron is much stronger and more ductile than grey cast iron. We know that it's called ductile cast iron because it is having higher ductility. It has superior wear resistance as compared to other cast irons and have mechanical properties comparable with that of steel. Now we can see the applications of ductile cast iron. The main applications that it is used in manufacturing parts used in automobiles, farm machineries, earth moving machineries, rolling mill equipments, rolls, etc. And these ductile cast irons are divided into two: ferritic ductile cast irons and pyrolytic ductile cast irons. These ferritic ductile cast irons are mainly used for the manufacture of valves and pump bodies, while pyrolytic ductile cast irons are used for crankshaft, gears, rollers, etc.
Now we'll be discussing about white cast iron. So white cast iron is a type of cast iron which has a lower silicon content, and this, when on cooling, results in a microstructure in which most of the carbon exists as a cementate structure. So in this, the carbon composition in white cast iron is usually about 2 to 3.5%, and due to this, the white cast iron is usually hard and brittle, and it has a white-like appearance. So talking about properties, as I told you, since it has a large amount of cementite, it is usually hard and brittle. It has a good wear resistance, that is, it is durable and it can be used for long run. It has a high compressive strength. That means it can it can it can be subjected to many loads and does not break easily. And another thing is, it is difficult to machine, and the reason why it is difficult to machine is due to its hard and brittle nature. And the applications of white cast irons are many. It is used in pumps and pump fittings for carrying out wastewater or discharging of wastewaters. The reason is because it is has a wear resistance and is durable. Its main use is making of grinding balls or rollers for crushing the limestones, and is also used in rolling mills for production of malleable cast iron. So next we'll be discussing about malleable cast iron. So malleable cast iron is basically obtained by heating white cast iron to about 700 degrees Celsius for more than 30 hours. Here the carbon is arranged from graphite. So and two types of malleable cast irons can be obtained based on the rate at which it is cooled. If it is if the malleable cast iron is cooled at a faster rate, then we will get a pearlitic malleable cast iron. And if the malleable cast iron is cooled at a slower rate, then we will get a ferritic malleable cast irons. And the orientation of graphite in these two types of malleable cast iron is very different and is irregularly arranged. So next, talking about properties, the cost of production is low. It has good wear resistance. It has low coefficient thermal expansion, which means it does not expand very easily when temperature is increased. It is highly ductile and malleable. So next, talking about applications, the malleable cast iron is mainly used in making automobile parts like cylinder block. And cylinder block is a part where the air piston gets reciprocated. And the main reason why it is mainly used for manufacturing cylinder blocks is that it has high coefficient of thermal expansion and can withstand high temperatures. Next is, it is used in electrical fittings, and another application is used in making washers and door hinges, as it has good wear resistance.
So then another classification of this cast iron is the wrought iron. So wrought iron is an alloy with a very low carbon content, which is less than around 0.08% in contrast to that of cast iron. Before the development of effective method of steel making and the availability of large quantities of steel, wrought iron was the most common form of the malleable iron. So it was given the name wrought because it was hammered, rolled, or otherwise worked white while heating hot enough to expel molten slag. The modern functional equivalent of wrought iron is the mild steel, also called as low carbon steel. So the wrought iron is highly refined with small amount of slag forged out into fibers. The presence of slag is beneficial for blacksmithing operations and gives metal its unique fibrous structure. Then some of the properties I would like to discuss. It is soft, ductile, magnetic, strong, which has high elasticity and tensile strength, and then malleable. Then coming to the application, I would like to discuss that wrought iron may be welded in the same manner as mild steel, but the presence of oxide or inclusion will give defective result. The material has rough surface so it can hold platings and coating better. Wrought iron becomes soft at red heat and can easily forged and forge welded, so it can be used to form temporary magnets. So it can be mainly used in the pipe making due to their corrosions and resistance, used for making bars for staying bolts, engine bolts, rivets, etc., for making plates, and extremely it is used for these forging applications. So coming to the last classification of the cast iron, which is the alloy cast iron. Alloy cast irons are the casting alloys which are based on the iron carbon silicon system. They contain one or more alloying elements intentionally added to improve one or more properties. The addition to the ladle of small amount of substance such as ferrosilicon, cerium, magnesium that can be used to control size, shape, and distribution of graphite particles, which is termed as inoculation. The The quantities of materials used for the inoculation neither change the basic composition of the solidified cast iron nor alter the properties of individual constituents. So the alloying elements including silicon when it exceeds about 3% are usually added to increase the strength, hardness, hardenability or corrosion resistance of the basic iron and are often added in quantities which are sufficient to affect the occurrence properties or distribution of constituents in the microstructure. So coming to the properties, it improves toughness and increases the hardness and toughness of the thick sections. It has better heat resistant and not much solubility but resist rusting. And some of the applications I would like to discuss is that and used in the cylindrical blocks, brake drums, clutch casing, etc., which is hard, strong, and tough, which can be used for the automobile crankshaft, and it can be used as an acid container and chemical pumps, which is used in the chemical industries. So, from this, I would like to conclude the classifications of the cast irons.
The alloys of iron and carbon having carbon content from 2.14% to 6.67% are generally called as the cast iron. The useful range of carbon content is up to 4.5% in cast iron. Eutectic reaction in FEC system occurs at 4.3% carbon, and the alloy of this composition is called as a eutectic cast iron. Hypoeutectic cast irons range from 2.14% to 4.3% carbon, while hypoeutectic alloys have a carbon content above 4.3%. In the liquid state, hypoeutectic cast iron remains as a solution of iron and carbon.
This shows the microstructure of cast iron at different temperatures.
A cast iron with 3% carbon corresponding to the vertical line in the given graph. Upon cooling from 1300 degrees Celsius, as the liquidus line is crossed, austenite grains start to separate out from the liquid. During the process, the liquid becomes richer in carbon and the approaches 4.3% at 1147 degrees Celsius, the eutectic temperature. On further cooling, eutectic reaction takes place and the remaining liquid decomposes into a mixture of austenite and cementite. Gradually, carbon content in the austenite becomes nearly 0.77% as the temperature approaches 727 degrees Celsius, the eutectoid temperature. Now, at the point D, the micro-constituents present are cementite and perlite, but the relative fractions of each will be different from those in steels.